Welcome to the Inspired Riding Podcast. I'm your host, Beth Lauren Parrish. As a certified riding instructor, remote coach, and rapid transformational therapy practitioner, a powerful form of hypnotherapy, I'm here to remind you to slow down, trust your intuition, and really deeply listen to your horse. And this will make for the best co-creative dances possible, whether you're on the ground or connecting on their backs. Thank you so much for being here, and here we go. Hello there, everyone. In this podcast, I'm so excited to be interviewing Tiffani Radake. Tiffani Radake is a certified leather tree saddle fitter, with the focus of providing information and tools to help riders obtain healthy movement in their horses. Tiffani has a deep understanding of the anatomy related to saddle fitting and how saddles affect the movement of the horse. Tiffani strives to focus on the horse in front of her and understands each horse is unique and requires unique needs. Tiffani approaches each horse and rider with honest, factual information to help the horse and rider have success. Tiffani lives in Worden, Illinois, and offers both in-person and virtual saddle fitting support. Tiffani, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Beth. I'm very honored to be here. I'm very much looking forward to our chat today.
So am I. So our topic today is building confidence with saddle fitting. So the first question I have for you, how do you help riders to feel more confident with saddle fitting?
Well, I try to help riders by teaching them how to easily identify the areas that we shouldn't have saddle pressure. This can ease some worries and give confidence to riders when they understand what they're working with, and it helps them be more confident with their equipment.
That's completely invaluable, and I know you've helped me quite a bit with my very short and stout pony, and we didn't have much room to work with, but you were phenomenal in helping us find the right saddle, so I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, I was very happy to help. I run into that a lot, actually. There's a lot of very round, short-backed ponies out there that need some extra help.
Tiffani, what have you learned that you wish every horse owner would know?
Well, this is a long answer to a short question, but horses always have things to teach us, and we have to be willing to learn and humble enough to admit if we are wrong. And if we can learn how the horse's mind and body work, they enjoy being with us more. I've also learned that I don't know enough, if that makes sense. I think everybody should know that there is something to learn. And if your teacher is done learning, please find a new teacher. So regarding saddle fitting, I've learned to keep it simple. The horse deserves to be comfortable, and the goal is to apply even balanced pressure through the safe weight-bearing area. And the saddle needs to allow the rider to move with the horse's center of gravity and not in front of it or not behind it. The saddle doesn't do all of the work. It is a collaboration between the rider, the saddle, and the horse that creates a functional and successful ride. And a rider needs to work on their own balance and fitness as well.
Totally agree. And that's something I definitely tell my clients, is to see if they can keep up in the gym and to even try to work out as much as they want to ride. So they cross train as much as possible. And that helps them stay more balanced and fit. And so when they find the best saddle, and then they know they're feeling good in their bodies and their horse is feeling good in their bodies, they're going to feel amazing together. So it's pretty wonderful.
Yes, exactly.
Tiffani, what lights you up and makes you feel amazing with the saddle fitting process?
Well, what lights me up is seeing the the reactions and faces of riders who just learned something amazing about their horse's saddle fit area. I love showing riders how they can improve their horse's body function and body condition just by adjusting how their saddle fits. We are not born with this knowledge. I certainly was not. I have put some crazy fitting saddles on my horses in the past, and looking back now that I know what I know, there was a reason my horse Dreamer wouldn't go to the right, and he would, but he was balking and he didn't like going up hills. And, a lot of people default to, well, this is a behavior problem. And I think with anything horse related, we need to look at the whole picture and make sure it's not a pain issue or a misunderstanding. I didn't know any different, and I didn't intend to hurt my horse. I simply didn't have the information. Sometimes I find that a horse has a good fitting saddle. It might be that the horse needs a different trim on their hooves, and I might recommend they consult with a trusted trimmer. I might recommend that they call their vet, their chiropractor, body worker, dentist. Sometimes it could be the way the horse is asked to carry their body, or maybe they need to find a trainer that specializes in biomechanics. And what lights me up about all of this is some riders don't realize how connected all the aspects are to each other. And I love seeing riders go on this learning journey. I love it because I remember when I didn't know, and I love feeling more confident now. I feel amazing when I made a difference. I feel amazing when my time spent with the horse and rider helped lead them to answers and help. I also feel amazing when I get reports from riders that their chiro, body worker, or dentist or farrier noticed positive changes after some of the recommendations that I made.
I love that answer, Tiffani. And it reminds me of the time where I sent you a video. I think it was maybe my second or third ride with the saddle. And Pepper offered the canter, and I didn't even ask for it. And it just felt so smooth and easy. And that was one of the issues why I knew I had to change the saddle, because the old one was making him crow hop. So when I got to canter with him and he just offered that so beautifully for the first time in the saddle, the joy in my voice just was really palpable, and I know that you heard it. And so you left me this message on Facebook Messenger, like, yeah, I'm so excited for you, this is why I do this, and that just made me so happy. So it was like shared joy back and forth, and that was such a beautiful moment. And I'm just so grateful that we found the right fit again. And thank you again for all that.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. And, I think it's just sometimes we just don't realize that there's a blockage because the horse's body is always changing. They're always changing. And we're focused on our own bodies, or we should be, and how we could be strong and we could be supple in our own body to be a better rider. And we've got all these personal goals within ourselves. And we're not even realizing that our horse is underneath us changing too. And it's like, oh man, we need to check the saddle. And their shoulder's different. Well, that's because the shoulder's connected to all these other muscles that are always changing through different exercises or seasons. I mean, come on, winter to spring is a huge change. And it's just, it's very common. I mean, it's very common to have your saddle fit in one moment and it not the next. And some horses also, here's the other thing, some horses are taught to not have an opinion, and they will deal with these blockages in a saddle and they'll just power through it. And before we know it, there's damage, or they're speaking louder to us. So we really have to take a look and see what the problem is. And that's where we start to learn things. And that's when we start to ask questions. So I really like to be there for people to prevent that from happening, so they can see these things coming.
Yeah, that's a beautiful gift to have, to start to use your intuition and start to notice, because so many horses are very stoic, one, and then two, they don't even know how to express to their rider that things don't feel quite right. So we have to get really quiet enough to tune in and ask our horse, ask ourselves, is this really what's going on here, or is it something else? And basically, when you start to get quiet enough and start to ask multiple questions, you can eventually come to, yeah, maybe this saddle doesn't fit quite right. And then going back to what you're saying is, as they change their body, as they're moving, you want to be able to adjust the saddle. And not everyone knows who's listening, the 𝙝𝙤𝙧𝙨 saddle underneath is adjustable. So do you want to explain how that works, Tiffani? I think that's the coolest part.
Sure, yeah. So the tree system itself is rawhide. I always tell people to think of a dog rawhide shoe. You can take it and bend it and it will flex, but it also has some structure to it. There is a stirrup bar that is metal inside the tree, but it is not in the very front, so it doesn't have a rigid gullet bar. What this means is you don't have a rigid plate or piece of metal that's near the withers or the scapula, which I like that because that's where a lot of saddle fit issues can go wrong, because there's a lot of changing there. The withers are part of the spine, and the scapula's part of their leg, and you really don't want to damage any of those. So the leather tree system, or the rawhide tree by 𝙝𝙤𝙧𝙨, does not have the front rigid gullet bar. The panel system, they're made of pressed wool and foam. You can order the panels in different lengths and different depths. You can set your gullet channel and your gullet width and your seat balance by moving the Velcro panels around.
And it's heavy duty Velcro, so it's staying put once you get it on. But then you just know that you can change it at any time, and that's just one of the coolest things.
Yes, because you are changing, your horse is changing, and you can make the small adjustments. Sometimes horses they're asymmetrical just like we are. Some are more asymmetrical than others, and you can make the adjustments there. It's kind of like flocking to a standard dressage gusset.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
And you can use a shimmable pad to make any balance corrections too. Yeah, I really like the way the tree flexes and expands and contracts with the horse's movements.
Yeah, I remember as soon as I sat in the saddle, with the old saddle, he would be really resistant to walk on, and it would take a little bit of convincing. But as soon as I sat in the new saddle, he started walking off before I was ready. I'm like, oh, he feels good to move. This is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's neat to see that, especially with a horse who has had a saddle that wasn't fitting the best anymore. And it really does feel good to see them so willing, and the rider's so relieved too, because saddle fit problems are so stressful. They're so stressful.
Absolutely. I'm just so grateful that you're available remotely to help people. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, that is very, very nice. Technology has its perks.
Absolutely. So, Tiffani, do you have any transformation stories you'd like to share about the process of saddle fitting, and how did it unfold?
I do, actually. I'm going to tell you a little story about Red. I'm in Illinois, and Red lives in Kentucky, so it's not that far away. And Red's owner contacted me, and she said that she has this Andalusian gelding. His name's Red, but he's not red. He was when he was a youngster, but now he's gray. So she told me that Red is only sound being ridden bareback or in a bareback pad. But anytime she put a saddle on him, even if it supposedly fit from other fitters, and she'd tried every fitter with a traditional saddle that she could get her hands on in her area, the saddles fit. They felt good to the fitters. But Red did not agree. So she was kind of stuck in this situation. where she really needed a saddle that was supportive off the spine and off the sensitive muscles in the areas we don't want pressure on. She didn't know what to do, so she ran into these 𝙤𝙤𝙧𝙝 leather tree saddles. And she asked me to come down. I'm like, well, I'm happy to come down, but this is a few-hour trip for one horse, you know, gas and time. Well, we worked it out, and I traveled down to see Red, and we tried a dressage saddle, and Red has this tiny short weight bearing area, and for a big Andalusian you would not expect that. You would not. You looking at these horses, they're just big and musculature and short little tiny backs, like your horse. Just, are you kidding me? I think they are the same size. It was pretty short, this Pepper. So anyway, I'm like, okay, what are we gonna do here? So I put the dressage saddle on him, which have the more narrow panels, just like a general dressage saddle. And he was better. He was lame in his right front leg. So we asked him to go a little longer, because sometimes if horses have a bad history with the saddle or a bad experience, it's muscle memory. They're used to compensating. Okay, I'm going to have to limp here to avoid that pain or that blockage. And he did. It was still there. I was like, well, let's try something else. We decided to try the Spanish saddle because it has the wider panels with more weight distribution. And Red was much more comfortable, not as much head bobbing, but it was still there. I still wasn't happy, and it was on his right front leg. So I decided, because we can, let's shift the right panel away from his scapula even more than the left. Just give him a little more freedom on that right side. And she got back on and asked him to go, and within about 15 strides, sound. He was so happy and comfortable. She's like, this is how he moves when I'm bareback. So she was thrilled, and I spent the whole day there with them, and I wound up fitting the neighbor's horses, because she was not interested at first, but after she watched that, she was really excited about how easy it was to accommodate the horse and how balanced it felt being in these saddles. So I get an email about a month or two later. Red is now back in working equitation, and I was told that when he would get to the gate course or the gate obstacle, when you back up and go through the gate to shut the gate again, he was so nervous. He would just get very anxious and just kind of lock up and freeze, even walking by the gate, because you have to really move your shoulder backwards. And I think he was getting some discomfort in the previous saddles. Now he's perfectly happy to do it, and they're showing, and they're having a great time in working equitation, and it just made me so happy.
Oh, sure, that makes your heart so happy. That's amazing. I'm sure that horse feels such relief now.
Yes, actually, because he was able to use his body better. They're getting more exercise in, and she was needing to make his saddle wider and wider in the front because he was developing so much behind the scapula.
I believe it. That's really cool. Thank you for sharing that story.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Tiffani, what do you think holds riders back from finding the best saddle?
I think there's a few reasons. I think availability is an issue. The price, money, is an issue, and the lack of understanding how saddles are supposed to fit. I think there's a lot of saddles online on Facebook Marketplace, and we're not sure exactly what tree's on the inside. We don't know what the bar angles are. We don't know what the gullet bar angles are. And we're just measuring one part of the tree and just thinking it's going to fit, but there's more to it than just the gullet. So there's that too.
Well, it's a big gamble. people are just kind of guessing, and I've been known to do that too, and like, I hope this works, and if I'm not really sure. So being able to, I think, find the right saddle fitter first is key, and then that way you can make sure that you're getting on the right path and educate yourself, like you said in the beginning.
Yeah, so I think to re-summarize that, I think there's misinformation out there regarding saddle trees.
Definitely. And as the wonderful Maya Angelou said, do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And I quote her all the time, that same quote. It is so great. It's so true. And I think I know once I heard that quote, it pretty much changed everything for me.
Yeah, I get chills thinking about it. I have it up here in my closet so I can just look up and read it anytime I want. So,
When you know better, do better.
Exactly.
And then there's also this, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yes, I see that a lot in the horse world, and I end up just energetically sending love to the horse and rider and just hope that things will shift for them soon. You just hope for the best.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Provide the information. And another thing about the information you find, and this applies, I think, to every aspect, horse related or not, you need to do your homework on who you trust and who you're learning from.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm very careful these days, and I've evolved a lot from where I started and how I learned. And I'm very grateful for my first teachers, and I got to learn classical dressage and centered riding. And then when I went to learn groundwork when I was in California, I learned from the people that I don't want to even think about right now. So I'm just very grateful that we can keep learning and keep evolving and feel into what feels best for you and your horse. And ultimately, the best teachers out there are our horses. So if we get quiet enough and listen to them, they're going to show us what they need. And then once they show us what they need, then it's our job to go out and do our homework and research and find the right people to assist us if we need, which we usually do. So it's good to have a village helping. Yes.
Absolutely. Yes, that is so true. We always, I say we because I have a group. I shouldn't say there's a group of us around here in this area. We call ourselves the Whole Horse Advocates, and there's a Facebook group. And we're all one piece of the puzzle. The whole horse is connected, and saddle fitting is just one thing. The training is another piece. You've got the chiropractor, your veterinarian, the dentist, saddle fitter. What is hypnotherapy considered? What is that? Is that
That helps build confidence, and it helps with mindset and heart set and making sure your energy is feeling right for your horse.
So would that be an energy worker? What would you call that in short?
I would call it.
What part of I know it's part of the puzzle, but what is that?
It's probably closer to a lot of people use sports psychologists.
Okay.
So it's closer to that level, but it's actually deeper than that. It's like getting to the root cause of the issue, which is really a phenomenal way to just nip it in the bud and go, okay, I'm making the change. And you don't have to do like multiple sessions. Often you can just do one of these powerful hypnotherapy sessions, and you will be releasing old issues that have been programmed from even maybe before you started riding, from when you were a kid. And you have all these old beliefs that are holding on to your mind and your energy. And then once you let that go, then you can step into your magnificent self. And that's how your horse wants you to show up for them. Just be your authentic, happy self. And then you can connect. And it's amazing how it works. So, yeah, I love the idea that you have this whole advocate group. Imagine if every part of the world had that. Like, you guys could create a model and start, like, just sharing about that. Like, I didn't even know you guys had that. That's amazing.
And then a lot of the missing link is what you're talking about. our mental state, our own fears are keeping us back. I know for me, I need to do this because I know there's a lot of trauma things that happen, even as an infant, that I've learned about that have shaped who I am today and how I process things. And that's going to affect my horsemanship. And that happens a lot with people. I mean, the horse is just standing there like, come on, human, get it together here. It's you, not me.
Yes, and it's so true. And there are even things where the baby will hear in utero or feel from the mom and take that on throughout the rest of their life. And so they might have this anxiety they don't even understand, and it's just coming from when they were in the womb. So if you can release that, then your horse can go, oh, there's my human. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, but so some people are so scared to do that. Like, I don't want to wake all that up. I don't even want to go there. I'm scared of that.
That's why I share so many of my testimonials where my clients explain that they had a little trepidation, but I created such a safe and supportive environment. And I always emphasize that we're not reliving anything, we're just reviewing it with our detective hats on. So, very much like how you go and look at a horse, you're not going to let your heart get so sucked into, oh my gosh, this horse is hurting. You go, no, this is my job. This is what we need to do. This is what we need to fix. This is how things are going to get better. And that's the way you can approach it for yourself and just decide, I want to get myself better. Let's just understand what's happening. And once you understand what's happening, then that's where the power lies. Then you can create a new meaning to whatever experience happened to you in the past. And once you create that new meaning, then you're free. It's amazing.
That easy, right?
That's why they call the modality rapid transformational therapy. And Marissa Peer, who created it, she's an award-winning therapist. She talks about, people who go into therapy and they're there for sessions and sessions and sessions. She equates it more to like, if you're in pain, let's take care of it now. As if like you walked into a dentist and you needed a root canal. You do it right then. You don't wait and talk about your pain and then come back the next time. You just get it done. So that's really what what I'm trying to emphasize is it works phenomenally. Of course, there's going to be layers, and some things are going to be uncomfortable, and you just work through that, and you deal with what emerges. But then later on, you realize, oh wow, I can really work through that, and then I can feel more empowered. So it's amazing.
Do people cry and get really upset?
Absolutely, and I encourage it because it's so important to let things out. I encourage cursing too. I'm like, get it out, let's go, and I love it when they curse because then it's like, okay, the emotions are really starting to come out, and when they cry, that means they're releasing. Because if you bottle it up, that's when the rest of your body starts to have issues. So you gotta let it come out. Yeah. So this podcast turned into a really interesting turn, which I love, which is cool. But no, it's good. But yeah, when you can look at everything holistically, so we've got, the horse's movement, the proper saddle fit, the proper dental care, the proper chiropractic, the vet, and then you look at the rider and make sure they're fit mentally, physically, spiritually. And so I'm there to help them with those three things for sure. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, because I can help them with their biomechanics while they're riding, and then I can make sure they're in the right mindset and in the right heart set, and that they're connecting to their hearts and not being too hard on themselves or on their horses, and that's huge. So we put it all together, and that's what makes it a holistic experience. That's why it's wonderful when professionals really start to get together. So like I said, the fact that you have this group is phenomenal, and we should encourage that more around the world. Yep.
Awesome. Happy to hear that you feel that way. Yeah, because it takes a village.
Totally. Okay, so let me get back to my questions here because I want to keep going. This has been really fun so far. Tiffani, what do you wish every rider would be inspired to do?
I wish every rider would be inspired to slow down and enjoy the process. I see so many riders buy the horse, buy the tack, come to me, buy the saddle, and then they run into brick walls. and they can't use the tack and they can't use the saddle, and then they get frustrated and then they feel let down, and then they are just blinded by all of these, what they seem are blockages in their goals that they set. And I think if you, speaking from experience, can take a step back and look at the big picture and realize, yes, you may have wanted to go to the local show and do this event, or go to the trails with your girlfriends and do that, but you can't because A, B, and C is going on with your horse. If you can look at that and turn it into a positive thing, like if this didn't happen to your horse, you wouldn't be learning all these cool things about your horse and how you can do better for your horse. And you're learning more. I think riders should be more inspired to have an open mind and just enjoy the process, which requires lowering your expectations. And just be happy to learn and keep learning. There's always something to learn.
I love that. And I'm all for asking for less and being delighted when they offer more. Tiffani, if you had a billboard created that the entire horse world could see, what would it say?
Okay, so the first thing you're going to see, the first thing that's going to catch your eye is, I am more than a thing to ride. And under that, it'll say, join me in my peaceful ways and let me enrich your life.
Full body chills, lady. That's awesome.
If you can let a horse in, well, let me rephrase. If a horse will let you in,
Yeah.
it's just this incredible place to be.
There's nothing like it.
It's an honor, really,
It really
that
is.
they do allow that.
Yeah, it's an honor that they interact with us. It's a phenomenal gift when they let us sit on their backs. Yeah.
It really is. It's actually kind of crazy. Zebras aren't so happy to do that, but these beautiful horses will.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
We are so blessed, and it's our duty to make sure that they're feeling the most comfortable in their bodies. So what you do is a gorgeous blessing.
Thank you. And that's my drive. That's my drive, is knowing they allow us to do this with them. The least we can do is consider their body and consider their comfort.
Absolutely. Tiffani, is there anything else you'd like to share that I haven't asked you?
I would just like to say to the listeners, never be afraid to ask questions. You have the voice and your horse wants you to use it. You do not have to spend $5,000 on a good saddle. Go find a trustworthy and understanding saddle fitter, and they can certainly find a saddle within your budget that will work for your horse. Please do not keep using a saddle that you know doesn't fit because your horse isn't complaining. Many horses won't complain, and I'm the voice for them right now. Let your hands, intuition, and education do the decision making.
Beautiful. So well said. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Tiffani, how can people get in touch with you?
I have a website. It is www.hugyourhorse.com. My business name was inspired by my late mare, Hugs. She's the reason I'm talking to you right now. She sent me on this incredible journey. So my website's www.hugyourhorse.com. I have a Facebook page. You can search Hug Your Horse and it will come up. And Instagram, but I'm not very active on Instagram. I'm trying harder every day.
That's all good. Everyone has the platforms that work for them. And I'll be sure to include the links in the show notes for everyone. So definitely go ahead and check that out. And Tiffani, if it's okay with you, I'd love to share with the listeners about my ambassador code for Hidalgo Saddles. Does that sound good?
That sounds awesome.
So if anyone listening is interested in these amazing saddles, contact Tiffani and just give her the code Inspired Riding, or you could just mention my name, Beth Lauren Parrish. She'll know who I am. So you're more than welcome to do that, and I'll add that in the show notes as well, and you'll get some kind of special discount that she has going at the time.
I want to mention how I can help remotely. I get a lot of questions about how I can do that efficiently, and part of how we do this is me teaching you the basics of saddle fit anatomy. This includes lots of picture exchanges and video calls, and I send illustrations. I can even edit photos of your horse to help you identify the landmarks, and this goes very, very well.
And it's really in depth, and Tiffani's amazing. She's like one of the best support systems I've ever met for like any kind of company out there I've ever experienced. Like, and I'm not kidding. Like, I just kept telling my husband, this woman's amazing. She's doing so much. I just absolutely love her. And this was even before I got the saddle. So.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate hearing that. I do try to be there for people because having someone on your side that really, really cares and really does think about you and your horse when they're going to bed at night, that really it makes you feel good.
It's the best feeling to have that support. So you're amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool. And then Tiffani, finally, just for fun, if you were a horse, how would you describe yourself?
I would be the horse that will love you even when you make mistakes. But isn't that most of the horses?
Oh, yes. That's so beautiful. Tiffani, thank you so much for being here. I had a wonderful time chatting with you, and I can't wait for everyone to hear this podcast.
Thank you. It's been so fun talking to you, and I appreciate you having me on.
You're more than welcome. Thank you, everyone, again for listening. Remember to lead with kindness for yourself and for your horse. And may the horse be with you always.